Hugo from Ichiban Painting. So today I'll be talking about the airbrushes, accessories, and compressor. It's going to be the last part in the video series that I've made. So first video was introduction to airbrushes. If you didn't check it out, go check it out. Then after that I talk about a little bit lower end airbrushes. Then after that I did another video to comparing for a higher end airbrush, and this is the last part, so we're going to be talking about accessories and compressors. So the first thing, I'll be talking more about like introduction, like, you know, if you're looking to buy a compressor and buy an airbrush, the things that you might want to buy when you're starting out. So I'm just going to show a couple of accessories. The first one are going to be talking about are the water traps or moisture traps. Here I have two types. This type here is the type that normally goes on a compressor. So basically what happens is that the air comes out from here, from this point here, from the compressor, goes in here, and if there's any moisture coming out from the compressor because it's too hot, then it's going to shoot, the moisture is going to get trapped here, and then the air from your the airbrush is going to go back up here, because actually the air comes here, goes down there, and then the intake for the compressor normally is here, so it's pushed like this, so it helps trap the moisture. And this is another type. This is actually an AirTech moisture trap, and this is the type that you plug in near the gun. So I run both, so double the security. Why? It's that because actually if your compressor gets hot, there's going to be condensation inside the hose and the compressor, and then it's going to shoot water. If there's water mixed with your air, it's going to, a little bit like if you ever sprayed with a spray can and you spray too much, there's going to be like drops of water. It's going to be drops of paint, but it's the same effect. It's going to be drops of water that are going to shoot on your project, and it's going to scrap the whole paint job that you're doing. So these, I would definitely recommend having at least one water trap. I run two because I never want to have problems, and I just want to be sure, so I have two. There's other types for the one that's near the gun, but I like this AirTech because it's quite small, so it doesn't because this normally plugs in here, as you can see here on the airbrush, right? And so it's quite nice to have it in your hand. They have other ones that have a different kind of shape, and I think they're too big, and they're cheap anyway, so the AirTech is a good one. This retails for about 30 pounds. These normally come with the compressor, but if you buy it separately, it's gonna retail about like 10 pounds. So that's the first accessory that you're probably going to need to have. Then a second accessory that's really cool is that if you do have mini airbrush, this is a quick release. So basically, whoa, that was crazy. Holy smokes, I'm sorry. I didn't expect that. My other quick release is not that crazy, but it's a quick release. So basically you can pop, you pop your airbrush in. This connects to the airbrush, as you can see here. So this connects to the airbrush, and then you can take it out. So if you have many airbrush, you want to probably have one like that, because it's really easy to take it out. You don't have to unscrew the airbrush from the hose. So neat thing to have. It's pretty cheap. You can get one for 5 pounds, or you can get cheaper ones. And this one has an on-off valve, which gives you an option of being able to screw it in and reduce the pressure on your gun if you don't have a regulator on your compressor. Because again, like I said, I'm talking about people that are starting out in the airbrush world. So me, my compressor doesn't have, but I do have two compressors. One doesn't have the regulator, and another one has the regulator. So when I'm running the one that doesn't have a regulator, that's a cool, neat option that you can have. So moving on towards this is, you know, an airbrush rack or thing, so you can hold 4 airbrushes. There's another one like this, so basically you can put in your airbrush like that, and it holds your airbrush when you're working or changing paint, or you can put it here. So this is a must-have, and there's a hose line here. I put my hose here, so my hose is not wobbling anywhere, everywhere when I'm working. So this is a cool, neat things to have, and you can get one for 10 pounds. So now, just talking about the things that you might want to buy and get, you know, that are useful. Now I want to talk about a little bit about hoses, because when you buy cheap compressors, normally you get like those kind of PVC hose. These are shit. Sorry for the word, but this is fucking shit. Okay, it's really smooth, so it's slippery. The hose is slippery. That springy thing is so. It's such a pain in the ass when you're painting and you pull it on it all the time. It really isn't bad. So the first thing you should do when you buy an airbrush, if it comes with a hose like that, you should throw it away and change hose. If you're looking at buying a hose, they sell those hoses. Don't do it. Just throw it away. It doesn't work. What you want to get is a braided hose that looks like this. So it's a braided hose. Those hoses are really nice. And also the other ones, the flimsy hose, don't come with fittings already pre-made and pre-attached. They come with the pressure fitting that you need to screw in, and they pressure fit, and those things pop off like crazy. So get a braided hose. As far as the length goes, I think I have, like, let me see, one. This one is 2 meters long. I mean, the longer hose you won't lose a lot of pressure. Some people say that if you're running a really long hose, you're gonna lose pressure. That's not true. It's gonna be such a minimum reducing pressure that you won't even notice it in the airbrush. So don't worry about running a longer hose. What a longer hose is gonna give you is that if you're running an entry airbrush, most people, they don't have when they start in the airbrushing world, they don't buy an airbrush with an air tank in it. They buy either a piston compressor with no air tank or diaphragm compressor, which those two don't have a tank, so the air comes out right away from the compressor. So having a longer hose is going to eliminate a little bit of the pulsion feeling to the airflow. What I mean by that is by your piston going like this or your diaphragm moving like this creates an airflow that's not precise, but you know, it's not flowing like non-stop. So it does pulsate. So by having a longer hose, it's going to eliminate a little bit of that pulsation, and it's going to give you a little bit of air in the hose. Then it's like creating a little bit more air supply from the airbrush. So you should get an air hose. You don't need to buy an expensive one. You can buy a cheap one. They have one on eBay, a 2 meter for probably like $5, or if you buy it from China. Just be sure that you have the good fitting. Airbrushes come in 2 kinds of fitting. They come in 1/8 and 1/4, a quarter. Quarter ones are Badgers, if I'm not mistaken. Badgers have a quarter. Iwatas, they run on 1/8, and Infinity 1/8, and normally cheap eBay airbrush run on 1/8. So technically you should have that, but Badgers do run on other ones. So be sure to check out what's your compressor fitting size, and also what's your gun size. So this concludes it for the accessories, and then I'm gonna move into the compressors. I want to show you my big compressor, but it's outside, and right now it's raining, so I cannot show you. So I'll show you pictures of it, and I'll show you my other compressor, which is my cheap compressor, because I do have two. I have a smaller one that I want to, when I go do painting contest or things like that, I sit there and I paint over there. So I have a smaller compressor and I have a big one. So I'll show these ones in a second. Okay, so here we are. So this is a big compressor. A lot of people they start in the airbrushing world, they will get a compressor like that. This is my miniature compressor that I like to have when moving. So this one doesn't have a regulator, but you have models that looks the same that do have a regulator. So basically the regulator is going to be here, but the compressor looks the same. This is a piston type compressor. It's not the best one to have. If you're starting, I wouldn't recommend this, because they are the cheapest one. They are the widest available ones. I wouldn't recommend it because they get hot really quick. So 30 minutes and it's done. You can't paint anymore. There's going to be too much moisture here. So you're going to have to, and it's going to be overheating. So you're going to have to let it cool down. And then after that, you're going to have to you know, stop painting, then painting again. So especially if you're going for commission painting, you know, don't use that, because it's gonna overheat really quickly. But this is the most widely available type. So it's a piston. Piston moves in here, creates air pressure. The second type I'm gonna show you on my iPad. Hold on a second. Okay, so here we have what normally they have so much shape, but this is like one of the diaphragm compressor, which means that there's a diaphragm inside that moves like this, that pulsates and create air pressure. The difference between the one I just showed you, my miniature one, and this one, the diaphragm compressor are a little bit more expensive, but it's a good investment because these ones are not gonna actually get hot. You can spray with them for like 2 hours, and they do get hot, but they don't overheat like the piston compressor. So if you have a piston compressor, you're gonna you're gonna get a more trouble. There's a other type of compressor that you can buy like this one, which is still a piston compressor, but the only difference is that it has an air tank. Those ones are more expensive. So the cheapest one are piston compressor without an air tank. Then after that you have diaphragm compressor that are a little bit more expensive, and then you have these ones with a piston compressor with a small tank. These are for hobby purposes. This compressor a little bit more expensive, but because it has an air tank, when the compressor starts, fills up the air tank, then once the air tank is filled up, it closes by itself, so you can airbrush for a long time because you don't have the compressor that's running non-stop for a long period of time. And then the type of compressor that I have, but it's outside, so like I said, it's a little bit hard to go outside and show it to you since it's raining and it's not in a nice, really accessible area. But it's a 50 liter, but it's not exactly the same model, but it's this type. It's a 50 liter tank with a big 3 horsepower, I think, engine on it. It makes a shit ton of noise, of course, but once it starts, but it runs in for like maybe 10 or 15 minutes, then the air tank is full and I can paint for probably an hour and a half to 2 hours before the compressor has to start again and refill the air. So with that, you don't have, you don't get any air, any water in your air. It's perfect, so you don't have to worry about nothing. So it's a really cool thing, but these ones are really expensive. You're talking about 300 pounds to 400 pounds depending on which one. They have cheap one, but the ones for airbrushing, they are really expensive. So choosing a compressor is actually, I would definitely suggest that you invest in a good compressor, because your air source is really important, as important as your airbrush. But I showed you the different types that you can have. And also, if you go for compressors, piston compressors, some of them run without oil, some other ones run with oil. So both are different types of airbrushes. I don't want to go too technical. If you want to buy an airbrush, you should do your research at the same time. Just want to inform you in general. But so it's a little bit, you need to, the maintenance is a little bit different. The diaphragm one is the one that you don't have to worry about. It's always works, no maintenance on it and everything. So basically it's up to you guys to decide what you want and how much you want to invest into starting your airbrushing. And I really hope you enjoy it. If you have questions, I know that maybe sometimes I forget things, so if you do have questions, just let me know and I'll try to answer it to the best of my knowledge. So this was Hugo from Ichiban Painting, and I'll see you next time.